your operator too much and you kill your profit. Pay them too little and you cost yourself your best talent. We have hired countless operators for our clients, and in this video, I want to break down the compensation packages that will help you attract the right level of talent for your business without paying way too much for an operator that costs you way more than they're actually worth. So, to answer this question of how much do I pay my operator, we first have to identify what is the right level of operator for your business. Are you paying an ops manager, a head of operations, or a COO? Because obviously the compensation is going to be different for an entry-level ops manager compared to a COO with 10 years of experience. So the first question is, what's the right level? I'm going to break them all down in this video. But if you don't yet know which level of operator you actually need, then the first thing we got to do is figure that out. If you drop into the description, I've actually equipped you with 3 templates. These are the job scorecard. Think of these as like an outline, a picture of your ideal ops manager, head of ops, and COO. Go grab the job scorecard, take a look at it, and ask yourself the question, which of these operators sounds like the right level for my business and what I need? You can grab that into the description. It's totally free and yours to use. We just need to know which level of operator we're talking about here to make sure that we compensate them correctly. So grab that job scorecard and think to yourself, am I hiring like a starter operator, an ops manager? In which case your average ops manager, if you're hiring in the US, is going to cost you between 60 to 75K on average. Am I hiring a middle manager, a head of operations, or a director of operations? This is what we hire most often for our clients, and it will cost you anywhere between 90K to 150K a year, which is a combination of, like we're about to talk about, a base salary plus some performance pay on top of that. Or am I hiring an executive level, decade of experienced COO who's going to 10x my business? And an actually good COO will cost you anywhere from 150K all the way up to 350K, depending on what you're looking for and what you actually need. So obviously those are really rough buckets to kind of help you start to gauge and budget what's the level of operator that I need and what's the level of operator that I can afford. Because wouldn't we all love to go out and hire the 350K COO who's going to tell us exactly how to 10x our business and do it for us? For sure. And we probably can't afford that person. And also, that's probably not the person that we actually need. Maybe the person we need is the ops manager who can just roll up their sleeves, build us some systems, build out our SOPs, and make the day-to-day of our business a little bit less chaotic. In which case, congratulations, you just saved like 250K on a salary that you don't actually need yet. And so one of the most common mistakes that we see is founders going out and hiring COOs or heads of operations that are way more advanced and way more experienced and way more expensive than the level of operator that they actually need for the stage of growth that they're in. So that's point number 1, is let's make sure that we're actually hiring for the right level of operator that is both within our budget and the right match for the stage of growth that we're in today. And I have a whole video on that if you need more help there. I'll send that to you at the end of this video. Okay, so we know which operator we need. We know roughly how much we're gonna pay this person, but let's talk about now, how do we pay them? Right? Like, what does the actual compensation look like? To compensate your operator fairly, most operators are going to make a combination of a large base salary plus a chunk of their compensation that's going to be attached to performance, meaning they only get this pile of money if they achieve certain deliverables inside of the business or they help the company hit certain targets or certain milestones. The performance side of compensation should amount to anywhere between 20 to no more than 40% of their total earning potential, right? So if we're paying an operator, let's say 100K base salary, their potential earning on the performance side should not exceed 40K, right? So the total of what this operator could possibly make is going to range between 120 to 140K total. And again, that's an 100K base plus 20 to 40K of potential earning depending on performance. Now, I know all your questions are around the performance side. Before we get there, let's talk about the base salary. If you are hiring that entry-level ops manager, all you need to do is pay him the base salary. Don't worry about the performance side. Don't attach some super high juicy upside. Reality is that for your standard ops manager, they actually may not have the knowledge, experience, or skills yet to do something like double the profitability of your company. And so you can't pay them according to that outcome because that outcome is just like wildly outside of their level of expertise and experience. Pay them to do what they know how to do, which is build your systems, build your SOPs, map out the processes, manage the day-to-day chaos, and minimize the dropped balls. And you can save a ton of money and attract a really good ops manager for just a fair base salary. And again, that's going to be anywhere between 60 to 75K a year for a really solid ops manager. Okay, so then it's only for a head of operations or a COO that we would even look at or consider the performance side of this equation. When it comes to performance, you've got essentially like three popular options that I would recommend when it comes to paying out the performance side of an operator's compensation. The first option is what's called an MBO, which essentially is just a deliverable-based bonus structure. So what you do is you take the 3 to 5 biggest operational deliverables that you want that operator to achieve in the next 12 months, like the next year of growth inside of your business. What are the 3 to 5 tangible, measurable outcomes, deliverables, targets that you want them to be responsible for hitting? And then all we do is we assign a bonus to each of those deliverables. So again, let's say we're paying our head of operations $100K base salary, and then they have 5 deliverables, each worth $5K each. So if they hit it at the end of the year, they get a one-time $5K payout. If they don't hit it, then they do not get that bonus, right? So in this example, your operator could earn up to $125K total, 100K base plus 5 bonuses times 5K each. And again, if they don't hit it, you don't pay, but you do end up paying out a larger bonus right at the end of the year. That's option number 1. Option number 2 would be attaching the performance part of their compensation to one, no more than 2 key performance indicators. So this model covers things like profit share or revenue share, where you're attaching the amount of money they make to a key North Star metric inside of the business. If we make this much profit, you get this percentage of that total profit, right? The thing with profit share, rev share, those are probably the 2 most popular and common metrics that I see for this type of model is either going to be profit or revenue. And really what it comes down to is which of these metrics do you want them to drive inside of your business? If in doubt, choose profit. Your operator's job, first and foremost, is to drive the profitability of your business. So cool, profit share means that if we hit a profit margin of this amount or a total profit target of this amount, our operator is going to make some percentage of that. And again, this is where you need to sit down and run the numbers and run the math and make sure that we're not accidentally wildly overpaying an operator because our company takes off this year and we make a ton of profit. And on the flip side, if we're not as profitable as we expect to be, we're still paying our operator fairly. So if you're having a hard time figuring out the numbers and running the math, this is what we help our clients with all the time when we hire them operators. So I'm pretty sure in that job scorecard tool, there's a link to book a call, hop on a call with my team. We're happy to walk you through this. But it's really, really important that we are not both over budgeting or under budgeting our operators if we're attaching a large chunk of their pay and their earning potential to a key metric inside of the business like revenue or profit. The benefit of this model is that you're also paying the operator quarterly, right? So you're paying them a fraction of profit that is made or not made every single quarter, as opposed to a huge chunk of change that comes out of your bank account at the end of the year if you're paying them under that annual bonus structure. Both work, it just depends on the goals of your business and the operator that you're looking to attract. I mentioned there were 3. What is the third compensation model? The third one that we look at is equity. Here's the too long didn't read version of equity. In general, don't do it. Like, unless you are looking for that massively experienced COO that you can't afford yet, but you absolutely need in order to achieve hyper growth or hyper scale inside of your business. And they're going to be responsible for some massive, massive result inside of your company, most oftentimes an exit, which is why you would be compensating them with equity. Then generally, equity is too risky and just not worth it. It's risky because when you give somebody equity, you are essentially locking yourself in to having them as a long-term growth partner. And let's be honest, for a new operator that you just met, we actually don't know. We don't know yet if they are the right operator, for us, for our business, for our team, for our working styles, there's so many unknown variables in hiring an operator that to lead with equity is like getting married to somebody before you've gone on your first date. It's really aggressive, and the reality is that it's just not necessary. Because what are we doing when we try and give somebody equity? What we're doing is we're trying to get someone to show up like an owner of the business, right? We want them to start thinking and taking radical ownership for our company as if it was their own. But the reality is, doing a profit share or a revenue share model is going to functionally pay out the operator about the same amount, psychologically is going to accomplish exactly the same thing, and is going to do that without any risk to you, because you can just fire that operator and now you're not on the hook for paying them out equity long term. So in general, while equity is an option, I would only recommend that for an operator who has been working with you for a number of years that you're sure is going to be that long-term ride or die operator that is capable of getting you to your ultimate long-term goal for the business, and you're driving towards some sort of exit, and so you want to align incentives where this operator is helping you maximize the valuation of that ultimate exit. If there's anything else going on, don't go for equity. Go for a rev share model, go for a profit share model, or go for an MBO deliverable-based bonus model. It's gonna get you all the same output for none of the risk. Okay, so that was a very fast run through of how to pay out an operator successfully. If you have more detailed questions on structuring out your comp plan, like I said, hop on a call with my team. We're happy to talk you through it. And to do this successfully, we have to start with the question of what level of operator do I actually need? So to help you with this, I actually created an entire video diving deep into the ops manager versus the head of operations versus the COO, what the difference is between these operators so that you can choose the level of operator that's the actual fit for your business. And then we can circle back to this video to make sure that we are paying them fairly. So check out that video, should be popping up right over here, and I will see you over there.